Here we have all of our existing houses, our proposed house, but we don't have anything to sit it on. We don't have a site. The idea of a site model, and I've actually created one ahead of time here, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. The idea of a site model is that it would allow us to see the landform in relation to our project. Let's just render this quickly. And now you can see there's several lights on here. I'm going to turn a couple of those off. So we can just see the one light. With the one light showing, you can see that this building here is actually higher than this one, and it's projecting a shadow onto it. So the site model is going to give us a lot of great information on where our buildings are sitting, the height of our buildings, and it does allow you to move these buildings to sit on the site model. So we need some site model information so that we can create what Vectorworks calls a site model. A site model can be created from spot levels or from contours. It takes the 3D data and it uses some mathematics to create this three-dimensional form, which we can then manipulate, we can count, schedule, we can do cut and fill calculations on it, and so on. There are several ways to create a site model, but each one has the same problem. We need 3D information. You could import your survey drawing, the site model from the surveyor, with 3D polygons, and that would allow us to create these 3D objects into a site model. But there's another way, and that's to trace over the objects. Now I've got my site survey turned on in the background. Just turn that back on so you can see it. I'm in my site model layer. I'm going to use my polygon tool, and I'm going to set the polygon tool to no fill, and so I'm going to trace over these polygons. I'm just going to do a rough job because I'm not that worried about them. You should do the best job you can. You could do this by zooming in, that would make it easier. Make sure you trace some of the polygons that are outside the site. In other words, don't just stop on the boundary, make sure you go outside a wee bit. It doesn't actually matter whether you start at the top or the bottom, whether you start at the left or the right. The important thing is to start at the lowest level contour and gradually work your way up, making sure that you click on all the contours of the same interval. And what I mean by that is that I'm clicking on all the 1 meter contours. I don't want to click on a half a meter contour by mistake. Vectorworks won't give us the option of having some at the whole meter and some at the half meter. So I'm just tracing roughly over these contours. I've got my snaps turned on, so all I can do is snap to a contour. I can't snap to an edge very well, and I'm not getting any of the snaps for angles. So I've turned off my angle snaps, but it's quite handy the way I've got it set. It's just really quick to snap to points. Okay, let's turn off my site survey and let's have a look, see what we got. So there are my contours. Starting on this bottom one here, I've just forgotten what contour level that is. That is 16 meters by the look of it. So the trick is trace in, starting at the lowest level, working methodically up till you get to the highest level. Now we want to convert this into information that Vectorworks can use. Survey input, 2D polys to 3D contours. 16 meter start height. The interval is 1 meter or just over 3 feet, and I want to create 3D loci. Notice Vectorworks has picked the lowest level contour. That's why I like you to start there. And the next one it picks is the next one you drew. So Vectorworks works in a really methodical way, and if you work methodically as well, it'll work really very well for you. And yes, we can delete our original polygons. We need to select all of these. The select similar tool works well for this. And now we can create our terrain. So AEC on the menu bar, terrain, and create site model. So here's our site model. We can put in our minor contour interval. So I've got 500 millimeters, which is just under 2 feet. I'm going to have a major every 2. So if I've got half meter contours, every whole meter is going to be a major. If this was feet and inches, you might have here 1 foot, and every 5 feet or every 6 feet is a major. So I want proposed only, 2D contour smoothed, proposed only, and mesh solid. Now you can play with these options and choose whichever one you like best. I don't want a site border at the moment. And I've got the labels turned on. These are just purely personal preference. You need to play with these and choose the one that you like best. Don't worry about that. And you can see what's happened is Vectorworks has actually gone and measured the heights of my buildings. So if I go back to display existing only, you won't see any of those building cutouts. So it's just displaying the area of my site, or the site model, but you notice it's not just the area of my site, it's the whole site model. Now so far our site model information's okay, but let's say for example that the survey has found maybe in this area here that there's a local rise, maybe there's a little hill in this area here rather than it being lovely and smooth contours. So what the surveyor may have is some spot levels. So let me get my stake object. Let's say on the boundary here, that's actually 21 meters up in the air, or 21 meters up in the air at that local point. So what happens? What we need to do is we need to replace some of this information that we put in here with this spot level that we've got here. Let's say we've got a couple of these coming down the boundary. So the land rises up quite substantially here and then it falls away again. So there's quite a little rise in the land just in this area. I'm going to put another couple in here just to help give emphasis to this. This is 21.5 meters up in the air. So it doesn't matter whether you're using metric or imperial. The idea is the same, that we've actually got a slightly higher area here than we have over here. So how do we get this information, these spot levels, to be part of our site model information? Well, the trick is to put the spot levels in using this object here, the stake object. We can check our heights, cut them. So right click on them. Where's cut? Looks like I've gotten rid of cut, so edit, cut, and I'm going to turn off the other layer so we can see this more easily. This is our site model. If we right click on the site model, one of the options is to edit the source data. So these are all the spot levels that we put in that represent the contours. These are our 21 meter high contours. When I go paste in place, so edit on the menu bar, paste in place, it puts in all my little spot levels in that area. Now just up here in the right hand corner, exit the source data. Don't worry about that dialog. So now you'll notice what's happened is we've got quite a steep little climb just here and then it flattens off the site. That's how you edit the source data to get the source data up to date. Now this doesn't include modifying the site, which would be done by pads and roads and stuff like that. This is just getting our existing terrain to be correct. At the moment our site model goes way outside the site we want. Now it's possible that we might want to reduce this to just the area of our site. I do have, in this layer here, a polygon for the outside of my house, or my outside of my site. So if I copy that, just using Control C or Command C, now I want to go back to my site model. There's something on here called a site border. So right click on your site model, edit the site border, and there is my site border, which I'm going to delete, and I'm going to replace it with a new one. Paste in place. There's my polygon for my site. When I exit the site border, the site model will stop at the boundaries of my site.